Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. My name is OctoMan, and in this video or in this live stream, we are going to tackle, well, the more content into the actual Missile command prototype over here. I started this one like 4 sessions ago, and we were, I believe so, we were being busy with the shop in the last one, so now we are going to integrate, well, hopefully, the shop system. So, for example, we're gonna have like better, let's say, speed variables, better, whatever the upgrades have been. I have no idea. I just can't remember. So we want to go for and check out what the shop system was about. And it seems like we're going to have like 4 different upgrades possible, which means the radius of our circle we are going to shoot over here, the actual rebuild, like whenever let's assume a building or a defender or whatsoever is going to be destroyed, then we're going to be able to rebuild it after a small amount of time, or whatever, a huge amount of time, for example, like, I don't know, 10 seconds, 5 seconds, whatsoever, and we're going to be able to integrate this probably. Also, it depends on how we're going to design the stage system, so meaning, when is the round over? How do we scale this over time, and how do we gonna get back the purpose for the player to get back into the game and play one more round and see how far they can go? I don't know, something like with leaderboards and stuff, but this is nothing we're going to take on this one over here. Also integrating speed setups. So for speed, as an example, we're gonna have to do something like maybe user interface, which is popping or is going to sit over specific objects, meaning over the defenders. So a defender is only able to shoot whenever the timer has done running, right? Like when the reload time is back, like, so you can shoot the second one and so on. And we need to visualize that stuff, kind of. So all of that plays together later on. I believe we get even score and stuff like that. So we just need to go and integrate the shop system into the play, like into the game. I don't know. I believe we have a wallet system already set up that looks good. So whatever has been purchased already could not be repurchased again. So because we got this already, but then we're going to say, okay, the maximum amount of whatever upgrades is going to be like 10 per element, per shop element, per upgrade, per whatsoever. And we're going to be able to go up from that point, I guess. We could also go and, I believe we implemented something like the amount of gold or whatever coins we are going to grab over there whenever we defend one of the buildings, something like that. Also later on, there's probably some possibility for going to get items on the run, like maybe we're gonna create some more different enemy types, let's say it's some kind of a flying object that flies left to right, has 3 let's say missiles in total, and just drop it whenever it is over a certain object, like literally randomly picked. So whenever it flies over one object, it decides, do I want to drop this or do I not want to drop this? And so on and so forth. There are so many possibilities also to go into the design over here, but we don't tackle this in this one. Later on, I might go over and create a new a full course, including maybe some low polygonal designed, 3D objects, and probably go over and do some stage design here in there as well. Probably gonna do a 2D version of that, even if it's not really necessary, since 3D works the same way as 2D. And then I make this prototype, whenever it's done, I'm gonna make this purchasable on my website. So later on, just feel free to check it out. I'm gonna put all the links to this prototype whenever it's done down below in the description, as well as link it somewhere, and probably do a post on the community tab as well later on. So just be prepared for that, or just take a look when it's when the time has come. Okay, so that's what I'm gonna start for today. I want to go for and look what are the actual upgrades about. And as I can see, I have like a a price list already. I have a current price. I have a price ID or an item ID. So each of them items do have this certain ID. They have a certain name over there. So, and whenever we start the game, let's see what's happening. Usually this window should become disabled on game start. So we're going to have to start with that. And whenever the game is, or the round, let's say the round is over, then we're going to need to do an unhide this one. So we are able to, you know, shoot bullets and stuff. I want to do one test over here whenever we are in this round. And I'm going to click over there. Then I may or may not get that shot. And so this is because it ignores, or it doesn't really care about the panel from the shop. So we need to, or I need to later on go and use a different method, I guess, which is going to be able to ignore user interface. So whenever whenever we open this panel, we're gonna have something like a boolean, which is going to protect us to shoot one. Okay, so we're gonna have the canvas. We got our input pointer, which is going to be set somewhere over there. What I also think about is going to put some, let's say, wherever I have shot, I'm gonna produce on screen, I'm gonna produce an X, like an X symbol, which is going to represent, well, wherever I have shot. And whenever the shot just passed this position, or actually just is close to it, or maybe after a certain amount of time, I may go and delete this one. I don't know really yet, but something like that. So in here we got the shop panel, we got the shop grid, so and all the corresponding items, and all of them items are going to fulfill or fill with the names and their actual cost. So whenever we're gonna go and shoot down things, we should get money, right? And once we get enough money or coins in this case, then we should be able to get, you know, the possibility to purchase some things. Except, and this is something what I don't really know yet, is based on the wallet. So let me pretty quickly check the wallet, which sits on the shop system, I guess. So, and then here we got the wallet, and the wallet is literally empty. We have like 0 money. So why do we do this? Well, I believe we can cheat the system first and see how we can go and purchase some things. So if I upgrade this one, I'm gonna get a level of 2, and I can always read this from the wallet. So the wallet currently know, okay, the next level or the current level is going to be 2, but in here it says level 1. So we need to always go and multiply maybe whatever the radius is by that number, or a certain, let's say, percentage amount of that number, depending on whatever this element is going to be about. Same here, and same here. We don't have a function to rebuild any kind of a building yet, but probably we can, you know, do some scaling over time or something like that. I don't know. And then just whenever it's growing up or is grown enough, then this building is going to be reactivated inside the actual you know, building list and stuff like that, which is going to be inside the game manager about the buildings and of course the defenders over there. Good. So that's pretty much good. So what I now need is, first off, when the game starts, whenever the round starts, I want to make sure that this panel is going to hide. And so we need to talk to the game manager, I guess, and say, hey, deactivate the actual shop script. Oscar Gonzalez, welcome to the stream. Thanks all for tuning in. Let the aliens blow up the Earth. Well, hopefully not. We'll see, right? So, I hope you are fine over there. So what I need now is, well, yeah, what do I need? I want to open the game manager script actually, and I need a connection to the shop script, and I need to see where I can put this stuff in. So let's see. So first off, we need to have the connection to the game object, the shop panel itself. So I guess we're gonna put this, maybe gonna put an extra header over there. I mean, here we need a header about the buildings, right? So maybe we're gonna put one in here pretty quickly. Nothing fancy. Header. We're gonna give it everything which is about buildings, right? You're doing fine. That's good, Oscar. Nice to hear. What's the time currently over there? It's like 12. So I want to go and put in building, so everything about building. And over there on the bottom, I'm going to put another header for all my, gonna have to do square brackets. Where is the square brackets? There we go. Header, open close parentheses. I'm gonna put in, what do I need to put in? Everything about the shop system. Gonna need to take some paper and put it aside here. Shop, or let's say UI, maybe something about user interface, right? So user interface. So the header just shows us content like a block of contents over there. Awesome. So we're gonna have to use a game object, and it's going to be our shop. What do I name it? Shop panel. So we don't need to talk to the UI completely as is, but we just need to, well, give it some name, let's say. So this is just, we deactivate and activate objects. We don't activate the actual UI, like deactivate and inactivate or deactivate or activate those images in itself. We just disable and enable game objects totally. So what do we need? Let's see. We got everything about coins over here. We got something about score over there. We got the explosion radius, which we are going to update soon as well. Reset can shoot, get random, building, and awake. Well, basically what we don't have is something like, hey, the round is over. So there's no system, which I assume, no system which tells us when the round is over. So that's what I'm gonna take a look into a second. Gonna drink some coffee here, just a second. So we don't need to get this, we don't need to get that. The question now is, where do I actually start the round? Where do I do that? Probably I do this directly in the spawner object. Yep, so when our game runs, when our game starts, literally, we're gonna start to instantly, and this is the thing we need to think over. We don't want to start this literally instantly. We could say we're going to put some kind of a countdown in front of that. We say 3, 2, 1, go, and then we're going to start this coroutine. This is possible as well without any issues. What would be the best or the easiest way for us to put something like a countdown? Maybe an animation, right? And whenever the animation is done, we could go and, start a script or something which is sitting directly on the countdown image or the countdown text. So it basically doesn't matter if you use an image or if you do a text. And then whenever this happens, like whenever on screen it says, hey, go, then you're going to be able to do inputs and so on and so forth. So we need to make sure that only when the game runs or the game has been started, that we are able to shoot. And when the game is being like paused or inside shop system or inside somewhere else, we're going to have to stop the input for the player. So we always need to take a look onto the game manager and say, hey, is the game running? Is it paused? And where are we currently? And so on. So what I will try now is I'm going to put in our canvas over here, I'm going to put a new panel. The panel could be literally anything. I just make it an image, make it a bit bigger. Try to make it squarish, maybe 275 by 275. The size actually doesn't matter. We want to make it big enough so we are able to see what's inside. This image is going to be our countdown image, countdown. So on our countdown, we later on, give me one sec. We just need to have a small script whenever a certain time frame has been reached, like the end of the animation. We want to talk to the game manager and say, hey, game manager, here, let the game know that it can start. And the game manager has to handle that by telling all necessary scripts, like the input, like the score or the spawn manager, to say, hey, spawn that stuff, as well as get used to inputs and stuff like that. So this is just an empty image. I can make this one green, blue, red, whatever, or just black. It doesn't really matter. At least for the moment, it doesn't. And so whenever this countdown runs, I want to have like a text element below that, like a text Mesh Pro. I'm gonna make this one uniform stretch over this image and make it so that it is centered in, centered over here. Which is going to be, where is it? This and this. And I want to make it maybe auto size or maybe a fixed font size of, let's say, 70. Maybe more, maybe less. So in here, we're going to start with a 3. So, okay, so we can maybe go a bit higher with the font size. Like, 150. Looks okay for now. So we got a 3 over here. What we also have is later on a 2, a 1, and then a go. And we want to type that content, if possible. We type that content inside that text field, or we just enable and disable pre-written text Mesh Pro elements to do the animation for us. So what we could do is we could even, go over alpha and reduce and increase alpha over time. So it looks like pop 3, then reduce alpha, pop 2, reduce alpha, pop 1, reduce alpha, and so on. So what I can do now is I go to, and before I do anything, I need to select the countdown over here. I have no idea about text animation, but what I know is I can actually enable and disable certain objects. So I go to Window, Animation, and I'm gonna have my animation window over here. And I can create a new animation and put this just into my folder where my assets are inside. So, and if I don't have an animations folder, then I create one, animations, and all the animation controllers should be there as well later on. So I'm gonna name this one countdown, and save that. Nothing fancy. So now I have this countdown animation here, selectable and selected, and the time frame is active. Now I need to add properties, and the property is not going to sit over here on countdown, even if we could, like, scale this one up like into the face, right? So we're gonna make it small, then we make huge, and then we're gonna see 3. Then we're gonna disable that or just make it small again, then 2. Like we're gonna zoom it in this 1 second, 2, 1, go, and we can do anything we want literally. What do I need is I need to have a component connection to this text over there. And we got here a bunch of things we can take a look into. What I want to have is the actual text itself. Can we change that text? I have no idea, so I just try it out. And if that doesn't work, once again, we just enable and disable objects in runtime. And the rest is going to be done by the box. By the black box over there. Let's see. Text style, text alignment, shared material, blah, blah, blah. Nothing over here. Font style, material size. Enabled. Well, this is probably just we enable and disable text over there. So I guess we cannot do this over here. So we cannot fill in new text into that to animate it, which is okay. So what I do instead, I'm gonna leave this open for a moment. I'm gonna rename this to be my 3. Now I duplicate it, Control D. Gonna name this one 2. Gonna make it 2 here. Gonna duplicate this again, Control D. Make a 1 here. And a 1 here. Once again, you can also use images or an image or multiple images over there and scale them and do them and tint them and make them funny and so on. Control D again and make a go. And over here I'm gonna put in a go over there. So this is what we now see, but this is not what we're gonna see at the very end. So now we need to add all the 4 properties to the countdown animation. So we're gonna go add property. We wanna go and add is active. Like this, we just say plus. So we talk to all the game objects and say, are they active at point ABC? Yes, no. So we just enable and disable them accordingly, at least for the moment. So we're gonna 1, 2, 3, and we need to go also the game object literally off the text element. So what do we need to do? Well, at the very first frame, I'm gonna make it so that I hit the record button just in case. You know, at the very first frame, we don't have the game object 1, 2, and go active. We just start with the 3. So, and since this is going to be for 3 seconds, I just zoom out and go until first second. Over there to the first second at this point, remember this is the 3. In here, we need to switch the 2 on. So we're gonna go and deactivate the 3, but activate the 2. Okay, so let's take a look here. We're gonna have a 3. And once we hit this point, we have a 2 online. So, and the 3 disables itself. It's like a bool on, off, nothing else. Now we go to this 2 second one, 120 frames. We're gonna deactivate the 1 or activate the 1 and, you know, do the other ones accordingly. And I'm gonna deactivate them other here as well. So I click them just on, off. So I make sure those frames are not becoming overwritten. So we have 3, 2, 1, and then over here at 3 at 180 frames, I'm gonna activate them others as well. I just press them all, so all the keys are going to be correctly set it up. So 3, 2, 1, go. And then at the go, we may need to get another second here to show the go until this point, at least. So we do something at this point. What we need is we need to create some kind of an event. But since I don't have a script connected at the moment, I need to add it first so I can go with this event afterwards. So again, we have a 3, 2, 1, go. What I also want to do is I want to do it more like not directly. I want to have another, I want to have another second in front over here. So we're gonna start, we need a bit more time, let's say. So over here at this point, I have the 3 enabled, the other ones are disabled. I just key them just in case. So we have 3, 2, 1, go. So each of them do have now 1 second. But why do I want it? I want to scale the size of the black square in 1 second always up, make it small, scale it up, make it small, scale it up. I just want to see how it looks. I have no idea. I mean, we don't need this for prototype, but sometimes it's a bit better to visualize possibilities, let's say. So the property I'm looking for is the actual, well, object, the actual countdown object over here, which is these scale parameters over there. So, and since I have record on, I'm gonna scale them down to 0, just in case, and see what's happening. So now, when I go here, so we see here's the property now on the scale, on the actual object itself. I go to 60 frames, or just to this timeline piece, I'm gonna make them a 1. 1, 1, 1. So what's happening now? It's going to pop up 1 or 3, then it shows, then like, I don't know how much frames needed before. We want to go to the 2 here. So probably 1 frame after this one here, I guess, or some frames. Let me zoom in and see. Maybe 1 frame after the scale up, I'm gonna have to do the opposite to the scale here again. So I'm gonna go and reset this. So frame 61. Because on here, I want to be fully scaled again. 1, 1, 1. So it goes big, then it pops back or goes away, scales again. But now we're gonna have to change on the frame here to be seen the 2 popping up and not the 3. So I believe we're gonna have to do it this way. So the 2 is popping up in the next run, like this. Then 1 frame after the 2, we're gonna go back with the scale again. I'll go to the side here. So the next number Well, we need to go and scale up here first to be 111, not 10, not 101, just 1. And see this, so here we got the 1. So, but in here we are driving still the active 2. So I'm gonna make, why is that? Why is that? Oh, okay, now it's correct. So we're gonna have to make a 1 over here active at this frame after it has been changed. So at this point, I'm gonna go and scale down 0, 0, 0 and change the goal to be the goal. Go here, scale back up by 111. And in here, I guess I'm gonna leave it on. So when we now press play, it should be 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, awesome. 3, 2, 1, and go. Awesome. So now I have like my intro countdown with just simple text elements, nothing fancy over here. Everything nice and simple. Now I need the connection to my game manager to tell the game manager, hey, I'm done. You can start the round. And of course, we need to deactivate the game object over here so it doesn't run constantly or doesn't, is not in the way and so on. So what the game manager has to do when the game, or whenever we are starting over there, we need to make sure that the game manager tells the countdown, hey, you are active, play your animation. Once you are at the end, let me know so I can actually start the actual game. This is the workflow. So getting back to the actual game manager, at least for the moment. What is over here? I don't know. So for the user interface, I'm gonna have the public game object. No, not the game manager. Game object. Gonna name this one countdown, right? Countdown. So this has to be connected over there as well. Gonna control S for quick save. There's some issue over here. I have no idea what it points to. So let me pretty quickly check. Oh, the square brackets is missing. So I'm gonna put it so we don't get any reddish stuff over here. So we got the chart panel, we got the countdown. So whenever the game starts, whenever the physical game starts, there are a bunch of things we can or we might need to take into consideration over here. But let's start with the most obvious. We're gonna say void start. We might need to go over and say later on enable or on disable. If we disable or enable the game manager in runtime, could be a possibility if it has nothing to do with something else, but I believe we can't. So we just use a boolean later on to enable and disable content over here. So in start, we're gonna say the shop panel has to be deactivated. So we say shop panel.setActive to be false. Maybe. We could also leave it on and tell the player to say, hey, take a look, here's an upgrade window or something. You can press on that. Once again, these are decisions you can do later on your own. And when the round starts, basically I don't want all of that happening in start, I guess. But let me type it out first. So countdown.setActive to be false as well. Just for the moment. I need to have a reset function. So not doing anything with score and coins yet, but let's do something with, how do I name this? Round, yeah, something like round handling. I don't know. So I don't know. There's a typo somewhere. Okay, so whenever I need a function which can talk to the game manager from the countdown. So like countdown done. Countdown done. The type is going to be void. without this F over here. And it just lets us know, or the game manager know, hey, the countdown is done, you can start the game. So what we can pass over here, yeah, Oscar, I will contact you once I'm done here. So I'm gonna do public. No, it doesn't have to be public. It's just a bool. Bool game started. So if the game has been started, then we can only then we can shoot or do things. And if we pause the game is not started, we cannot do inputs. We only work or do our, let's say, our input system, for example. Our input system only works if the game has been started, so we don't touch the input system when we are not game started, being inside the shop or being paused in the game and so on and so forth. So for that, we need to have another function, which is going to be returning the boolean if the game has been started. So bool has started, or game has started. We just return the current state over here. We just want to know from wherever, like when there is like an upgrade or update loop, we always need to make sure whenever we do some kind of an input, we want to first check if the game has been started. Otherwise, we can just return and, you know, get out of here or out of this actual programming part. So what do we want to return over here? We want to return if the game has been started. So game started gets returned. Don't forget to save. Public countdown done. So if the countdown is done, we could make a set directly over here, or we just can say game started is equal to true. So we just activate it. We could also, you know, deactivate the countdown object. That's the most obvious thing, right? So countdown.setActive to be false. So we don't want to see the countdown actually. And when we now leave the shop, like we are done, I have nothing to close the shop yet, but once we are closing the shop, we need to tell, hey, we are done here, we want to play the next round, so we need to start the countdown stuff again. And also when we are done with the round, we want to tell, hey, show us the shop and set game started to be false. Okay, so we're gonna say public void set or round has ended. I don't know if that is a good name. So if a round has been ended, we want to say shop panel is actually .setActive to be true. We want to see the shop panel. And if we are done shopping, literally, like when we close the actual shop system, we're going to put a button or something later on the shop panel. Whenever we are done with that, we want to deactivate the shop and activate the countdown. So the round has ended. The shop panel is, you know, gets opened, but also game started is equal to false. By the way, what we could do is instead of doing the shop panel deactivated at the very first time, we can say, well, we can set it being active. So somebody has to close it to get into the actual, you know, system. So countdown is going to be set active to be true, false. The shop panel gets, you know, set active. So we start in the shop. We see we could do something with that. So, and basically we are in start. We could also say we're gonna go and call round has ended at the very first place. Over here. So in start, we want to make sure that game has started, or game started is equal to false as well, because we are once again inside this round has ended handling. So if the round can start, or we're gonna close the shop, public void close shop. If we close the shop, we want to do the opposite. we want to say, okay, we're gonna have to do activate the countdown. So countdown dot set active to be true. So we activate the countdown, and the shop panel needs to be deactivated. So shop panel dot set active to be false. So we cannot do any shop inputs anymore. The game started later on is going to be called from the animation. So the animation calls the countdown is done. So we can start with that, deactivate the countdown image, stuff like that, or object in this case. So now we need an access point for the animation, because the animation does not know anything about the game manager. And we cannot tell it, hey, there is a game manager, talk to it. Well, not directly. So we need to have a handler, a script, which we can put the event inside. And we need to put this directly on the countdown. To do so, I'm going to go and create a new C# script. Name this one countdown message. Something like that. I don't know what I should call it. On countdown, we're going to put this after the compiler is done running over here. So I'm gonna drag countdown image onto this object over here. In countdown message, I'm gonna need no start and update, but I need mono behavior. Otherwise it cannot stay on the object. And I'm gonna have to have a public. What is it? Void. It's a void type. We're gonna say message the game manager. Open close parentheses. Maybe something like that. So we need to tell now, hey, game manager dot instance dot, well, the countdown is done. So do everything we need over here. Don't forget to save. Now we go into the animation again and set a flag at the very, very last frame of the animation and say, hey, call the message from this script which is sitting on this object. So we go to and select countdown again. Gonna go to window, animation. We should be inside this, and now we're gonna go to the last frame here. I'm gonna use this little flag, an event. And now we can do something with this event. As you can see, there's no function selected over here. There are a bunch of functions. If I scroll down, super down, I'm not quite sure, but I hope, I should be able to see message game manager. This is the function I want to call from this event. So the game is actually starting whenever the countdown is done. Awesome. That's it. At least for this event. Now when I need to have a button somewhere, like below, start new round, something like this, in the shop panel directly. Like we are done with shopping, yada yada yada. We just want to make sure, hey, put a button over here and start the next round. That's what we want to do, because when we start the round, start the game, we cannot purchase any of them upgrades, right? So we have, or we need to have a button. So I say UI button text mesh pro. And this is going to be my, start new round button. You can name this literally whatever you want. Over here, start next round. Question mark, exclamation mark. I gotta fiddle out where it is. Oh, it's somewhere here, which is obviously really funny. It's super small. Why is that? Because I'm inside the shop grid item. So I'm gonna put this outside. I'm gonna make this on its own, so I can, resize it to my needs. Gonna put this. So this way. It's better. Gonna put this here in the center, make it a bit bigger so everybody can see this. Gonna put this in the center over here. I don't have to be too picky, and I don't want to actually. What I want to do is I want to make sure that the text is a bit more, let's say, visible. So I'm going to use black instead. Maybe use a bold text and make it maybe a bit bigger, like so. If you want to use any other kind of text, then feel free to do so. Once again, this is just going to be a prototype. Later on, let's try what's happening when I now press start. I have saved already. I want to see if the system we were setting up is going to work. So it does not. Because there's an unassigned reference exception over here in the game manager, and you know what it is? Right, it's the short panel, it's the countdown image. So we're going to use short panel over here inside the actual, short panel part, and the countdown needs to go over there. Let's try again and see what's disabled, what's enabled at this point. Countdown should be disabled. And as we can see, short panel is activated. I ignore the rockets at the moment, but when I press this button, I want to make sure that the function is called that the countdown, or actually that we want to, start a new round. So we go to the on-click event and we need to put in our game manager, drag in and tell it over here, game manager. We want to say, good question. I don't know what I named it. Countdown done? Nope. Close shop, this one. We want to close the shop on the button. Don't forget to save again, and let's try. So now countdown running. Once again, the rockets do not care at the moment, but when I press on this button, I'm gonna get the 3, 2, 1, go over there. And then it goes away, it disables itself. As you can see here, the shop panel is invisible, the countdown is invisible. This is what I wanted to achieve. So I now could go into the round and start the actual game now. So with that said, I need to tell the spawner, hey, only spawn whenever I tell you. So instead of doing start or taking the start method over here into consideration, we want to go for something else. We want to go and create a function which we are able to talk to at any time we want. We update, or once we want to update this one. Now we have two possibilities. Well, we got the game manager here, and we got the spawner, which has whatever. This is the object which is flying over our object here. We need to talk to this one. So first off, I make this one with a hashtag here maybe as well, so we can see this later on for the for the necessary content over here, or the important things. Maybe I'm gonna do something with that, like those. Yeah, maybe not. Why not? So I can see the spawner a bit easier. Gonna do the same with the game manager object. Once again, it's just a name, but it's probably easier to read and easier to find. Especially when other people are going to work around with that, they can instantly take a look into the hierarchy and see if that is what they are looking for or not. So, this spawner object, we need to have a connection to it. So we need to make this one a new static instance so we can, talk to it as whenever we need to. We could also play around with other things, other fancy things, like delegates and stuff, but I want to keep it as simple as possible, so it's not like, because the delegate is literally not necessary at this point. We just do it once. To do so, we're gonna do the same as we did before. We're gonna say public static. Now we need to talk or tell what object we are after. We are after the spawner. We're going to say instance over here, just being the name. The instance is just a name. And in here, we're going to say void awake, open close parentheses, open close curly brace. And in awake, we want to just define instance is equal to this. So now we can talk to the spawner instance whenever we need, from wherever we want to. At the start, we can say the current spawn amount is going to be the amount to spawn at any time, but whenever we reset the round. We want to, reset the current amount or current spawn amount, then start the coroutine. So instead of using the start, I'm gonna make this one now a public function and rename it. Public start this round. So we want to start this round whenever we do things, whenever we talk to it. So we start the coroutine only if, if the game manager is telling the spawner to do it. Oh, I didn't want it to close it. So whenever we are done with closing the shop, whenever the countdown is done, then we want to tell the spawner .instance.start this round. Okay, so whenever it hasn't started yet, of course, and the countdown downwards again is only happening over there. So maybe later on there's some in-between handling necessary whenever we pause the game. And we unpause it, then we're gonna go and say, hey, countdown is done again, but we may not want to go and in spawner directly, we may not want to go and do the current spawn amount again to be whatever the initial amount was, but maybe we're gonna take the current amount, like literally if current amount or current spawn amount is not 0. Basically, this is what we could do for pausing or taking care of pausing in the game. But whenever we pause, we also want to make sure that we are done with spawning, or actually we stop spawning at this particular point. So we need to go later on into the spawn method and just take care of that again. But once again, everybody can handle this on its own. If there's no pausing, well, it is what it is, right? So we're gonna have now, or we should be able to, whenever the round is done and we are done with spawning our stuff, then we want to go and talk to the game manager and say, hey, the round has been ended. Please show me the shop panel so I can buy upgrades if necessary. And also, we need to make sure that all the objects we got disabled in this round, we need to re-enable them. Because currently we are just, setting them, we deactivate them. We don't destroy them because otherwise they are not able to perform the things they just performed before. We want to make sure that whenever the point has been reached, so we can always go and reactivate them objects. That's what we're going to do whenever the round is done, or whenever we are closing the shop as well. So to do that, whenever the countdown is done, well, basically whenever we close the shop, I guess. Or maybe before. Basically, it doesn't matter, since we are going to, we still see what's happening over here. So once again, or we can also do this whenever the round has been ended. So basically, it doesn't really matter. Okay, so when we close the shop, we also want to deactivate all defenders and all buildings which have been destroyed. So we can say, maybe we can use a for each loop. Might be easier. For every, well, whatever it is, let's say variable item in collection buildings. All buildings. We want to see first off if item dot a game object active in hierarchy. But what we want to check is if they are not active in hierarchy. If this object I'm currently trying to tackle or talk to, if the game object of the item is not an active game object, then I want to make it active. So I want to say item.gameObject.set active to be true. So, I can re-tackle it. If all the, by the way, like every time a object is getting deactivated, we also need to check how much are left. So probably whenever all of the objects are completely done or got rid of, then we want to make sure that we get back into the shop as well. So we end the round before we are actually done with doing all the rest over here. So I assume it's a bit more important right now that we get the handling in between all these panels and stuff like that done before we tackle the actual shop system itself. Okay, so we're gonna have to do the same thing with all defenders. So we're gonna put another for each, and I believe it's also called all defenders. Maybe, wait a second, maybe in the all buildings contains also all defenders. Interesting information, actually, or probably. The game manager should know. Yes, all buildings contains defenders as well, so we don't need to do this for the defenders themselves. So we just go through all buildings. Pretty good. So, repairing buildings, well, I got a building stuff over here already. So whenever, whenever they got shut down, we may need to take a look into what is the rebuild time for a building inside around. So after a building got destroyed or something, we might go and create some effect. I don't know. Maybe a glowing square or something or a blinking square or whatever. I don't know, to just see that the building is going to be, refactored or rebuilt. If we have bought the actual functionality. So again, the rebuild time is something we need to take a look into later on, and all the formulas, how we want the rebuild time, or how we want all the upgrades to be, let's say, calculated. Like, what is the fastest rebuild time? What's the slowest? Do we want to go and make an exponential curve, or do we want to make like more linear curve in growth? I believe we are going to go for a linear one. But increase the price exponentially. So it's going to be like a idle game or something like that, in which they usually do the same thing. So you have to pay more over time, but you still constantly grow over time. So for example, you like a linear growth is something like 1, 2, 3, 4, but an exponential is not like the price 1, 2, 3, 4, but more like a 1, 4, 16, 32, something like that. I don't know. So each one is going to be like X amount of time higher or more expensive than the actual level. So something like a level times price or something. Okay, so we close the shop. We set the countdown to be true. We set the shop panel to be deactivated. We reactivate all the buildings if they are not active in the hierarchy. If that is even possible, I don't know, maybe that turns out not being correct, so we might go and loop through all of them without asking if they have to be, or if they are active or not, which means it might be easier just to say to all of them, just loop through and say all of them, hey, just activate yourself. It doesn't matter if you are active or not. So maybe we don't need this extra check. Probably we don't anyways, so maybe we can just get rid of this part over here. Anyway. What else? What else is needed? I believe I forgot something. Let's try. So, as you can see, our game has not been started yet because we have not closed this window. So let's close this window. We're gonna get the 1, 2, 3, or 3, 2, 1, go. And now after the go, we should see the first rockets popping up, and we should be able to, or try to, anyhow, shoot them down. Nothing happens. I need something. Okay, that looks pretty good. So none of my... That's funny. I cannot shoot. Why ever? Maybe it wanted to shoot something, but there seems to be some kind of a bug over here. Okay, so what we don't have yet is when the round is over, to show the shop panel again, because, well, all the actual missiles have been drawn down or have been played. So we need to go into the spawner and tell the game manager, hi, the round is over. So I'm gonna collapse all of that stuff here. We don't need this. So at the very end, after the while loop is completely done, over here, we should be able to tell the game manager.instance hey, the round has ended. So please show the shop panel and do all the necessary stuff. Let's see if that works. So I start a new round. There's still the shooting mechanic active, but that's okay. So we gotta go. We're gonna be able to do all of that. We haven't visualized yet the actual yeah, what didn't we actually visualize? Or what did I wanted to say? Oh yeah, we like all of that. So now it already, and this is a fun fact we need to take care of as well, as not all of the actual spawns, like all the spawned objects, have done or have been completely set it up over here. So when we go to the next round, all the buildings are rebuilt, which is fine and absolutely fantastic. So it works as it should. And now we can continue farming, you know, score and get coins maybe one day once we do convert the actual coins to, well, whatever the necessity was. So like, let's say score divided by something. So same scenario. I can still shoot. And I still have the rockets flying around and destroying objects. So now I have score. I haven't got anything yet, but I just got score. And we want to reduce score at the end of the round and give ourselves coins for the reach score, for the full amount of score, and just reduce it by how many coins we just got. And the rest of the score is going to stay over there, which would be one way. We could also use the score directly as being a currency, so all of that is possible. However, we still need to do a fix about the rockets. And how do we do this with these rockets is we need to keep track of how big this, or how many rockets are still on screen or still in the game. Who knows about the rockets? Well, the spawner does know, right? So the spawner has to take a look and see how many of them rockets are still alive, or maybe not. So, well, what we can do is we can now create for the rocket some kind of a subscription and subscribe to the spawner. So this could be a good way to, you know, to subscribe by using some kind of a delegate as an example. So a delegate is literally something like let's say an event or an event system to which objects can subscribe whenever they, let's say, get created. So they can always say, hey, I'm alive. Once they do not being alive anymore, they're gonna have to be not alive anymore, and they unsubscribe. And once all of them objects have not been subscribed anymore, like there are no subscribers left after spawning and stuff like that. If that is the case, we're gonna check how many are there still left. If there's no one left, then we're gonna go and know absolutely 100%, hey, this object is not alive, or this round is now really over because there are no rockets over here. There is nothing left. Since I don't have much, but just a bit experience about these delegates, since I barely use them because they are, well, you need always some extra step. But yeah, you can easily put them, together so everybody can listen to them, to things which are happening to their things, like to them delegate objects or delegate functions, let's say. I'm gonna do pretty quickly pop up the Unity API about delegates. So you're gonna take a look into that. You should always how that subscription kind of event system thingy-wingy works. Let's see if I find something so we can take a further look. Code-wise, like for a scene handling as an example. You can say something like, hey, has this scene been loaded? And if that is the case, do whatever we want to this thing. Let's see if I find some. Well, there are a bunch of event triggers, but this is not what I actually am after. What I'm after is basically, yeah, once again, this delegate functions subscription part, let's say. So there is a possibility to create and then invoke specific methods and functions and stuff after something has happened. Actually, this is not what I'm looking for. It's basically also used, for example, if specific scenes have been, loaded, and we can use that as a function to a specific other event or another function. But this basically loads automatically or subscribes kind of automatically. So let's see. First off, we need a function which is the function which is going to be called, let's say, on the spawner itself. And then we need to have some kind of an access point, let's say, which is going to be able to listen to the input. Let's see if I find something else. Maybe I'm going to struggle here and there, but well, we'll see. Okay, so I need to have some kind of a function, a listener or something where some object can subscribe to, I would say, I guess. So there are possibilities to say something like, delegate, and then we can say delegate void, and then we can call any kind of a function. And every time somebody is subscribing to one specific function, it seems, it just can say, hey, I want to listen to this one, or I want to subscribe to this one function over there. Let's try to put this together. I'm gonna make a delegate void. Probably I should be able to call the subscription directly over the spawner instance, so I can keep everything inside over here. So I shouldn't have any issues with that. This function, this delegate void function, is going to be like subscribe. No, not with that thing. Subscribe rocket. Okay, and we just close that. This is something specific about delegates. We don't put any content inside. Now we're gonna have something else which is talking to the subscribe rocket. So we can say subscribe rocket, and now we can give this the actual delegate method to, let's say, subscribe. Okay, so this subscribe is now be connected to this delegate function. Now we can say to some other functions, for example, we can take an integer like a number or something like that, so we can count we can count the rockets whenever they subscribe and unsubscribe. We could also do just nothing with this delegates, but probably it's easier, I don't know. We can also say, okay, whenever we spawn it, we just count one number up, and then we count the number down whenever it is not alive anymore. like whenever the rocket destroys itself. But probably it's good to play around with that whenever necessary. So I'm gonna make now a function. I'm gonna make this below, like here. I'm gonna name this. Maybe it shouldn't be. I don't know. It doesn't matter. It's going to be void subscribe, or actually count rocket. Let's name it count rocket or rockets. And what we can pass in is basically a kind of an integer if we want to. Probably we don't even have to. Integer number and num. This one has to be curly brace. Nice. Oh, get rid of curly brace. So what we want to do is we want to say whenever we are subscribing to something, we want to call or we want to subscribe to this count rocket method. So we can put in a minus number or like a plus number or a minus number. So meaning we could also subscribe or unsubscribe to a specific something, I guess, I believe. So let's try this method out. I have no idea if that works. So this number can be passed in, I guess, but we should be able to anyhow subscribe and unsubscribe directly without doing this count. But let's assume we're gonna have an integer here. I don't know if that all of that is totally too much just for just counting objects. But I need to test this out anyways every time now and then. So we're gonna have an int count. And literally we should be able to say, okay, we're gonna count this object into, count plus equal num. Once again, I have no idea if that makes any sense. Maybe that doesn't make sense. Maybe we should have, without having a count over here, maybe we just have to have just this, we just subscribe to the count rocket function and return maybe something like an amount of subscriptions. I don't know if that works the way I thought it would. But every time we now go, let's assume we're gonna create a rocket here. Whenever a rocket gets created, we want to subscribe to the spawner's function. So we should be able to say spawner dot instance dot, and now we should be able to say count rockets, and I believe this has to be. Can we call subscribe? Probably not. Subscribe is not available because it's not public. I would like to keep it inside over here, so maybe the count rocket has to be public. I don't know. I'm gonna take a look into an example I have just written about images and changing with whatever dot. I don't think that this is going to be the way I want this to be. I'm gonna take a quick look into another project pretty quick, because I believe there is probably an easier way to take a look into them and update this accordingly. So let me pretty quickly check. Shouldn't take too long. It's just about some objects changing. Just need to find it. Okay, I try to get it together. So, okay, it's a bit back and forth, it seems. Okay, so let me get into the actual object which is going to take care of all of that stuff. Okay, so we need this delegate. So that's for sure. I'll make this one a public one, so I can do this also, well, hopefully, also from outside. Then I make the subscribe rocket over here a public static one, so I don't really need to have this one being spoken to the instance, but I can talk to it directly. Gonna make it a public static subscribe rocket, and just can now subscribe to, well, this function here, which is doing whatever. Now, what I want to make sure is that the public count rocket function here, I believe it has to be static as well. I just need to test this out because I have not 1% sure if that makes any sense now. So what I want to do is, like, this function here is responsible to count the rockets. Count rockets. Count rockets. I believe this has to be a static one as well. That's why it's red underlined. Yep. So this one here has to be a static as well. So once again, probably this is a bit too much over there. So I increase or decrease all of that. And now I can call a function which is called, well, subscribe. So I invoke subscribe. So I say subscribe dot invoke. Done. I need to put, I believe, a question mark. Oh, I need to put the question mark before. Question mark, invoke, open close parentheses, stuff like that. Which is going to be responsible for all of that. So we know, okay, they subscribe or they literally unsubscribe, depending on probably on a plus or on a minus. And on a minus, which might be, you know, the opposite, like unsubscribing is going to, maybe I can do the same thing. And after this happening, I should be able to handle all of the content. So let me save that for a moment and go to the rocket and see what I should do over here. Like, instead of using start, I might go over and use void on enable, in which I want to subscribe to the spawn object. So I can say spawner dot, and now I can go and call this count rocket here, I guess. So dot count rocket plus equal. And now we can, by using this, we should be able to subscribe it by using a function to load or to hide or to load some things. Let's see if that makes any sense. Actually, no, that should be wrong. It's not going to be the count rocket. It's going to be the actual subscribe. We want to do call subscribe, and to the subscribe function, we want to do subscribe to do the counts. And the count is going to be the one where we are going to do this. Let me pretty quickly check again. Which is actually doing the correct, or actually which is doing the content, the actual content. So we subscribe over here. It seems we need to have another function for that, for doing the actual mathematics over there and see. Yeah, that makes more sense. Public, what is it? Give me a sec. I would just say that once again, this is a bit back and forth. I just need to get it right so I don't tell you crap here. So where do we want to subscribe to? Or with what function do we want to subscribe to something? Do we want to use spawner.countRocket over here and say 1? I guess not, because that doesn't make sense. It would make more sense if that doesn't take any arguments, and this is not what we want to subscribe to, I guess, or with what we want to subscribe to that. Let's see. I'm gonna name this one add spawn amount. As I say, this is somewhat overcomplicating it, but I wanna see if that works. So I want to add a spawn account over here. So from here, I should be able to call spawner.countRocket. And now we should be able to pass us in here. And in here, we just say add spawn amount. I guess that is the way. So on enable, we subscribe with our spawn amount. We're gonna call to count us in. And maybe whenever we unsubscribe, like for example, when we disable ourselves, we're gonna say void on disable. Like because the object gets destroyed or deactivated or whatsoever. We want to unsubscribe from that. So we're gonna say copy, paste. We're gonna say minus equal add spawn amount, and so we're gonna put literally. Maybe we can also use another function. Can we use another function for handling the same thing? Because we don't need the spawner to listen to this one anymore, and we would go for putting a plus and a minus inside. What if I put a bool? Does it still work? True. No, it's not. Not that way. So I could just say and switch this number. I'm gonna make it like that. Let's see. Because if I call this num is not accessible. So the question now is, how do we know how many of them have been subscribed? Good question. So we can add to it or we can get rid of it. So how do we know how many subscribers are there? So something like check against that, or check, you know, all of that content, vice versa, and so on and so forth. Let's see. Maybe we need a handler which is going to count pluses or minuses based on if they got enabled and disabled over here. Let's see what my other function is going to do over there. That doesn't really make sense. That doesn't make sense over here. I want to add to a spawner mount. I need an object which is able to count them rockets at least. This is the absolute, the main part over here, and I don't. This object currently does not count anything, at least for the moment. If we got just listening objects, like, for example, I click on a button, and whenever this button has been pressed, whichever it is, it can pass in any, ID, for example. And this button click would literally call this function here to do whatever necessary. For example, to invoke a subscription, or actually to call all subscribers. Maybe this is the thing. To call or to tell all subscribers to this function here, hey, this is wrong. So basically my approach is totally different and totally wrong, I guess. Because I don't need the spawner to listening. I don't need the rockets to listen to the spawner. It has to be vice versa. So the spawner has to listen to the rocket. So I believe every rocket has to do something else, but not that. I believe it's more like, I don't know. I don't even know how to count them correctly by using this delegate stuff. And you know what? I just screw that for the moment. I'm gonna take a look into this later. I just don't know. What I want is I wanna still use that, but without all this delegate content over there. It's just easier to count the rockets directly. So let me get rid of this. It doesn't fit over here. So in here I just put in an integer, a number. It's easier for me, and I'm gonna reduce or call this always to be plus or minus, depending on if a rocket just tells, hey, I'm here, count me into, or just decrease it. And every time I decrease this number, like I'm gonna have to check how much count rockets are going to be stay inside over here. So whenever we do this, we say count rockets plus equal num, as I just did before. And since it's static, it's still okay. I can still talk to it without having this instance over there, but let it be there, because the game manager needs to do something here as well. Okay, I'm gonna get rid of add spawner mount here. I'm gonna get rid of the subscription, because once again, it doesn't make sense the way I have had the idea. So on enable, a rocket gets created. I'm gonna call spawner dot count rocket. I'm gonna pass in a positive number 1, and copy and paste. On disable, I'm gonna pass in a negative number. So I just say put me in, put me out. Every time count rocket gets called, and we add or negate by having a plus here. If a negative number comes in, then we get a negative result here as well. So it gets reduced. Now we want to check if count rocket or count rockets is equal to 0. So, or actually smaller than 0, doesn't matter. We want to make sure that the game is over, or actually the round is over. So the round has ended. So instead of using this one inside spawn, I'm going to cut it out. I'm going to collapse and say here, that is the case, then we want to call round has been ended. So maybe that makes more sense right now, I believe. Yeah, all of this trouble with this delegates, it's like ugly. Okay. So let's see if that now works. Hopefully it does. I mean, that's the easy way, right? So whenever we start the round, I still have the input running, so I need to deactivate this one as well. I want to go and shoot some, you know, some things here and there. Oh, couldn't hit. The delay is actually really horrible. So, and as you can see now, the actual count is correct. So no more rockets have been left on the actual screen. So we are now able to go into upgrades or say, hey, we are done here. Because we cannot purchase anything, we are going for the next round. All the objects are going to be recreated so we can do continuously, game running over here and basically start from scratch. Which means we can start another round, and depending on whatever, how much levels we have survived and so on and so forth. I mean, we may need or may not need some good level increase system and something like that. But this is part of another live session over here. I'm pretty happy so far with this result. So having all the delegates is basically crap. Because, well, this on enable, on disable thing is the easiest we can actually come across. This count rocket is only called from rocket, so when there is 0 rocket on here, we shouldn't have any issue by calling this before it actually happens. The last thing I want to do is I want to make sure that the input system only works if the game has been started. So I'm going to get rid of this. I don't need the spawner, but inside the input system, I want to make sure that the game manager, game has started, is going to be returned true before we actually able to put something inside the input. So we're going to put basically here an end operator. If we are pressing the mouse and the game manager .instance what did I name it? Forgot again. Game has started. Game has started, only then we want to play the game. Cool. Save that, close that, test it out. If that is the case and it works correctly and good, then we are one step further to the complete system. So whenever I click over here anywhere, nothing is going to happen, which is absolutely phenomenal. Now it starts. And now we should be only able to shoot something, whenever the game actually really has been started. So the next steps would be showing how long it takes until a shot has been, replenished or created. I don't know why these new ones are still aiming for already or non-existent objects anymore. Pretty good. System works. Everything gets recreated. We're going to see the countdown running. Meanwhile, this is happening. We cannot shoot. We cannot do anything, which is also phenomenal. And then we can go and continue our round over here. Of course, the rounds now are always putting, 10 rockets into the play. And we don't have the real upgrade system, running yet, because we just need to read the actual data from the wallet, because the wallet is the one which always knows how much has been, built. As you can see, it still knows it. It's not gone or something. It sits in the assets folder and it's going to be recalled at any time necessary over here. So we can start the next round. We're gonna still have the score and stuff like that. And yeah, we are good to go. So this is it for today. Was a long run again, just for small things, literally to get all of the systems up and running. In the next session, I believe I'm going to continue working on the actual shop system or integrating the upgrade system itself. So we're gonna get like tweaks on the growth of the radius of, you know, all the content and stuff like that. Like the radius, as I said, inside the actual shop system, like getting the radius based on the upgrade, getting the rebuild system as being part of the upgrade, or actually unlock it at the very first place. Same for the reload speed, so we're gonna reduce by level the actual reload, and of course the rocket speed gets increased by upgrades itself. So we just need to fill out some numbers, I would say, and act accordingly. So once we are done with that, well, everything is good to go and ready to be published in a kind of an alpha state, because then the complete stuff is over. The complete game is literally done. Or the prototype actually is done. The next phase would be, you know, just optimize, put in some extra content, stuff like that. But this is something everybody has to, of course, make sure to integrate on its own. There might be, once again, there might be some special causality, I would say, or some special something when we got no objects left. We might want to do something against something game over-ish. So meaning we need to make 1% sure that at least one, you know, building is going to survive or something like that. I don't know. And to put this one into an extra, let's say, scenario where we're going to get a game over screen and we're going to have to restart from scratch, reset the wallet, which is super easy as well, and start from scratch. So there are a bunch of possibilities over here again. So, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this live session and the video. If you have seen this one later on, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and thumb this video up if you like it, as well as put down your recommendations or something like that down below in the comment section. And once again, this prototype is going to become available on my website later on OctoManGames.com. in which I'm going to be and publish this one, so you can later on grab it from there. Just put your own assets inside, play around with it, update it, you know, and so on and so forth. Work on that, and maybe create your own Missle command. Game out there. And it doesn't really matter if it is a 2D or 3D game, because the actual game or the actual work is literally the same, and the actual system is going to be the same. It doesn't matter 2D or 3D. Once again, thanks a lot for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this session, and talk to you later, guys. Enjoy the time. Bye-bye.